Jæja, góðan daginn gott fólk og verið velkomin á þetta veffræðsluerindi á vegum Líflands. Þetta erindi sem verður undir yfirskriftinni Heilbrigðar kýr, auknar daglegar afurðir. Og þetta erindi sem má segja sé okkar svona ansvar við þessu blessað ástandi sem við höfum verið að glíma við undanfarin ár og kemur svona í stað okkar hefðbundnu bændafundarútínu. Og leið þetta opnunarviðburður fyrir daga sem við nefnum nautgripadaga eða undir yfirskriftinni nautgripadagar þar sem í boði verður afsláttur, fjölbreyttur afsláttur af nokkuð breiðu úrval við bætiefnavöru fyrir nautgripi og svo sem annan búfénað. En svona þemað eru nautgripir þessa dagana og þessir afsláttardagar munu hefjast í dag og munu standa fram til 5. febrúar næstkomandi.
Dus even de vraag hoe die...
Ég ætla rétt að nefna að, Gerston, could you mute your microphone just?
Ég búin.
Okay, sorry. Ég ætlaði svona rétt að tæpa á því að þetta erindi haldið í góðu samstarfi við samstarfsmenn okkar hjá Trouw Nutrition í Hollandi. En Lífland hefur langt árabil verið í samstarfi við það fyrirtæki, en það má segja að Trouw sé í rauninni svona þekkingarmiðað fyrirtæki sem stendur fyrir öflugu rannsóknar- og þróunarstarfi samhliða því að selja okkur forblöndur í kjötfóður og ýmsar aðrar bæta lausnir. Og það verður meðal annars komið aðeins inn á þeirra lausnir hér í þessum fyrirlestri. Já, eins og ég segi þá hefur Trouw Nutrition lagt upp úr þekkingarmiðaðri þjónustu og útgangspunkturinn hjá þeim má segja sé svona samþætting á velferð og skilvirkni. Og fræðslan sem slík svona liður í því að liðsinna bændum við að bæta heilbrigði og velferð og leið að auka bæði endingu og afurðasemi gripa. Svona náð því besta og mesta út úr þessari fjárfestingu. Fyrirlesarnir í dag eru svo sem margir ykkur sumum að góðu kunnir, en þar fer fremstur í flokki Gerston sem hefur margoft komið hingað til Íslands og haldið fyrirlestra með okkur í bændafundunum okkar. Og honum til halds og traust vera Kun Leuben og Jakob Husing. Og þeir munu í rauninni flytja hér í erindi hver á eftir öðrum. Svona ætlað heildartími klukkustund í allt fyrirlestrahaldið. Ég ætla rétt að tæpa á því hvar og hvernig spurningum komið á framfæri, en þeim komið á framfæri bara í spjallborði fundarins sem má sjá hérna í talblöðru eða hnappi sem heitir chat. Og spurningum verður svarað í rauninni í kjölfar hvers erindis, en ef eitthvað óljóst eða skilst illa, sjálfsagt að spyrja og við munum bara koma því á framfæri bara eins og kostur á meðan á erindinu stendur. Fyrirlesturinn á ensku, en glærur eru íslenskaðar, þannig að það íslenska á glærunum, þannig að þetta ætti svona að vera flestum skiljanlegt. Þá kannski líka bara rétt að nefna að þetta getur nú birst fólki á mismunandi hátt í sínum búnaði, og það eru stillingar til að eiga við hvaða gluggar sjást hvernig og hvar glæru fyrirlesturinn sýnir sig og annað. Þetta á nú svona að vera nokkuð blátt áfram. En ég bara vona að þið hafið bæði gagn og gaman að þessu fyrirlestrarhaldi og ætla í raun bara þá að gefa orðið yfir til Gerstons. Gerston, the word is yours. Thank you.
I will unmute now. Yes, thank you, Johannes. Okay, it's nice to be here in the webinar. Yeah, it's a pity that we cannot do it live. Normally spoken Thursday afternoon in the tour week, we are driving, I think, from Varmahlíð to Akureyri, but now we have to do it. We have to do it in from Putten, where our office is. Yes, we will show you now the presentation. I hope you can see it. Okay, well, this afternoon we will talk about healthy life. And healthy life is let's say a new program from Trouw Nutrition. We started with it 2 years ago, and it's all about the health of the cow. And I will explain you a little bit about the Healthy Life program. And Koen Luiben will talk about a Healthy Life solution we have, Reviva. It's a product which is well known, I think also in Iceland. And we did some new trials last year, and Koen will talk about that. And Jacob will also talk about a new product called Cello, and it's also a Healthy Life solution regarding other health. So we have 3 speakers this afternoon. Well, if you talk about Healthy Life.
Just a slight interruption. I just forgot to mention that we will have the polls. Can I just explain very shortly?
Yes, it's good. Then,
sorry. Já, ég bara rétt glemt að minnast á að það verða nokkra kannanir og svona spurningar sem að mun verða varpa fram hérna á meðan að fyrirlestur stendur og þær verða sýnilegar í spjallhlutanum. Það getur henni valið valkosti og svo verður einhver tölfræði sem að hver fyrirlesari mun aðeins tala út frá. Þannig bara vitið af því og það sýnilegt í spjallsvæðinu og fyrirlesari mun láta vita þegar að þessar kannanir fara í loftið. Okay, sorry, thank you, Gaston.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, what the goal is of the Healthy Life is to increase the longevity of the cow. And the idea is, what can we do to unlock, so to say, the value of resilience and longevity of the cow, and especially looking at the transition period. And there are 3 ways where you can increase longevity and the production. That's on one hand, it's increasing milk production. So that's one pillar of the Healthy Life concept. Second one is increasing the number of lactations per cow. And last but not least, it's how can I reduce the involuntary culling rate? And it's all about what can we get out of the cow? And that healthy is important, of course, for the cow and the farmer. A healthy cow brings more money. But I'm sure that in now and also in the future, and I don't know how it is in Iceland, but we see it here in Holland, that also the society is asking for healthy animals. If you want, as a farmer or as an advisor, look how good you are doing regarding milk production. There are different ways of looking at the milk production. One is the lifetime production. So how many liters, how many kilo of milk is produced over the whole life of the animal. Another way is looking at the milk solids, so milk, fat, and milk protein. And another one, what you also see in the world, is what is the milk production over the day? The total milk production in the tank and the number of cows. And last but not least, it's the lactation production. So that are all they are all values which are used in the world. But we are now working with, in this Healthy Life program, we are not working, of course, we are looking to production, but we are looking to lifetime daily yield. And so just want to show you what is that? Lifetime daily yield, that is the total lifetime production, so over all the lactations, divided by the days of life, so the age of the animal. And what has an effect on the lifetime daily yield? This of course, but that is the first calving date. That's the production, of course, per lactation. It's calving interval, and it's the number of lactation. And now I have a poll. I don't know if Johanna can, of Helena can show it. Do you hear us?
Yes, Gaston, it has popped up right now.
Where can I see it here? Can I see it here on the screen or? Yeah, but okay, yes, I have to just wait.
Yeah, okay, maybe, yeah, it could be I can see.
Let me see, I don't see it on the screen, but I can, yeah, so the question is, what has the biggest impact on lifetime daily yield? That's one, is that then the age at the first calving? So how old is the heifer when she calves? Two, production per lactation. Three, calving interval. Or four, the number of lactations. So if you can fill it in, and later I will tell you what I think has the biggest impact.
Yes, Gaston, if you're not seeing it, I can maybe just slightly tell you about the results here.
Yeah.
There was some technical issue here in the beginning, but I have now some responses here. They are popping in. Let's have a look here. Yeah, we already have 9 responses. Já, gott fólk, það var eitthvað smá tæknivesen þarna á kannanahlutanum, en hann ætti að vera eitthvað aðgengilegur í spjallinu akkurat núna. En spurt var hvað hefur mest áhrif á dagsnitt æviskeiðs. The question was, what is the biggest impact on lifetime daily yield? And we have already, yeah, maybe fewer responses than expected, but 9 responses, and 44% or the majority is guessing on production per lactation, and we have 22% on each of the options, age at first calving and number of lactations.
I see it here, Johannes.
Yeah.
Well, when of course a lot of things have impact on it, but if we calculate, then we see that the number of lactations is very important, because if you look at the total milk yield on the lifetime, then your period of rearing the calf is much lower if you have more lactations. So if we calculate it, then it's the number of lactations, so it's 4 as we see it. But of course, yeah. Okay, we go on. If you look at this Healthy Life program, you see that there are 2 things which are important in getting a good cow and a high daily life production. One is the life start, where we started with years ago. I think some of you have already know it, that you go say from when do I this is the first calving. So the rearing of the calf to heifer is very important, and there is the goal, as we see it here in Holland, to go from 26 months calving to 23. And the other one is where we focus on now, that's the Healthy Life. And that is how can we increase the amount of lactation. So from 3.6 to our goal is, and I know that's not easy, but our goal is to go to 5 lactations per cow. If you look how the situation is here in Holland at this moment, then you see that the first calving is on 26, almost 26 months, with a production of more than 9,000 liters, calving interval of 400, and an important one, 3.6 average lactations per cow. And there we have the lifetime daily yield is about 16 kilos, and our goal is to go to 23 months at calving with more than 10,000 liters of milk. And the number of lactation, that's also an important one, 5. And so we are now working here in Holland to go to 20 kilogram lifetime daily yield. If you look, of course, we have other types of cows, so you cannot compare it. But if you look at Iceland situation, I got some information there from RML. You see that you're a little bit higher at first calving, so you could go a little bit lower milk production, but that's quite normal. You have other types of cows. Your calving interval is better. And the number of lactations is 2.9, with a lifetime daily yield with 9.4. So what I think, and that's part of that Healthy Life program, how to increase the number of lactations, that one of the things where you could aim for is have more lactations per cow. Well, just to go to that, to the goals of that Healthy Life program, there are 4 goals. One is you should have your heifers, the peak production, on 73% of the total herd. Then an important one, the early culling rate. So it's in the first 100 days of lactation should be less than 5%. Then you should have in your milking cows, in your dairy cows, the peak production on 50 to 17 days when the cow is in lactation. And an important one is also have your heifers, the culling rate less than 15%. Well, we have a new poll 2. Koen, kun je even helpen? I don't know if you hear it over there in Iceland. So the question,
sorry, just to mention, there was the chat was it was disabled in the original poll, but it should be up and running right now. So sorry about that.
Yeah.
And people might be able to see the older poll too.
Okay.
Okay.
So I go now to poll 2.
Yes. Progress to
poll 2.
The
question is, what has the biggest impact on the culling rate? And one is that metabolic diseases, and what is metabolic diseases is like milk fever, subclinical milk fever, or ketosis. Claw problems. 3, low production. And 4, fertility. I don't know how far we are, Johannes.
Yeah, we have some 18 responses. Bara hvetja ykkur til að kíkja á spjallsvæðið. Það var miður óvist þarna í upphafi, fyrst afsökunar á því, en það er allavega búið yfirstíga það og smellið þarna talblöðruna eða chat-fítusinn til að fá þetta upp. Könnunin er þar inni. Yeah, 20 responses, Gjerton. Yeah, we have some statistics now.
Let me see where I can see it. It's fertility and low production. Well, I think at the end, it has fertility absolute is an important one. But at the end, if you look at a lot of research done, that metabolic diseases in the beginning of the lactation have a big impact on a lot of other things, and also on fertility. So the biggest impact, what we see in research, and I will show you just a little bit in a graph, is metabolic diseases. Okay, we go on.
Yes, yeah. Sorry, Gjerton, continue.
Yeah, okay. Well, just to show you, there has been done a lot of research, and I was told that 50% of the culling is due to metabolic diseases. And if you look at this graph, that's a trial done in Germany, they looked at farms, almost 2,000 heifers, Holstein Friesian, Holstein Friesian, yeah, HF cows, and in the first 120 days, and you see if you compare the green one with the yellow one, and yellow is single metabolic disease and multiple metabolic diseases, you see that that has a big impact on the survival rate. So the red line is less than 70%, so almost 1/3, so to say, does not get the end of the lactation. So metabolic diseases, everything around transition period, and that's something we will discuss after this, Koen, is a very important one. Well, just a little bit about healthy life. Where do we focus on? That are a lot of things. Transition period, calving interval, improving fertility is also in it. Milk production, milk solids, and other health. And if you look just to have a figure how that is in Holland and in Iceland, then you see the culling reasons here. You already see it. Fertility is high. Other health is high. It's also in Iceland high, probably a little bit lower than here. And claw health, that's typical, no problem at your country. And we see also a lot of problems with claw health. Well, where do we focus on? Sorry, I'm just a little bit curious. Yeah, where do we focus on now? This afternoon is the transition period. Koen will talk about it regarding Reviva, and Jacob will talk about other health. Just the last slide for you. I want to invite you to visit healthylifetroughnutrition.com. That's what I said in the beginning, a platform with a lot of knowledge on it, white papers, there is know-how on it regarding transition. And there's also a calculator on it. And it's, to be honest, it's more now on euros and or dollars, but we will look at it if we can make it more a Scandinavian version. But there you can calculate your lifetime daily yield and what the different aspects have on the results. Well, the last one I want to go on now with is Koen will talk about the Reviva, and Jacob will talk about Cello. Okay. Yeah. Are there questions, Johannes, or?
Thank you, Gerton. There are no questions currently.
Okay, then we will till later.
Yes, okay.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. I was invited to tell you a little bit about Reviva, as we did some new research and some new studies recent years, and I'm happy to show you those, so you have a better understanding why Reviva helps your cows. First, I want to Gerton already mentioned the culling of cows is especially undesired the first 100 days after calving, because that's the period where cows get sick and do not get to the end of lactation. So you do not decide yourself whether the cow is leaving the herd or not. And especially those culling, that's what we want to prevent. And where we have to focus on is the dry period, and also the period just after calving. And at calving is also a very important period or a time for the cow, because there's a lot of stress going on the cow itself. So we have to do everything that we can to provide as less stress as possible to the cow, because it's very susceptible for getting diseases. Well, what's also happening around calving is a very decrease in feed and water intake. A cow doesn't eat for on average 8 hours around calving, and well, you can imagine the labor that the cow has to do for the labor. Yeah, it costs a lot of energy. It costs. You will also see a lot of loss of water, of fluids, which comes together with a lot of losses on electrolytes. So it's important just after calving or around calving to restore the energy levels, to restore the water levels, to restore the vitamin levels. And another thing which is very important is to provide calcium to the cows, because next to calving, also milk production starts. And that's it. For the milk production, we need calcium, and it's a very critical period. And a lack of calcium is the reason that a cow gets milk fever. So that's. I have also 3 poll questions, and I will start with my first one. So poll number 3. So I think that the poll was started by Helena. So you can please give your insights.
Yeah, Koen, it should be up and running now.
Yep.
Já, bara til að taka fram, þá skrifað svar þarna inn. Skráið inn lítratölu.
I do see some responses with varying between 10 and 50 liters. I think indeed a cow can consume easily 20 to 40 liters. But I just wanted you to think about this, because a cow easily drinks 20 liters. That's also the amount of water that we provide together with Reviva, and a cow easily drinks that. So what I told you at the beginning, I'm gonna show you some information about Reviva that we got the recent years. We did some studies, and we especially looked at the calcium levels around calving, because that's more easy to measure. And next to that, we also had a look at how the cows performed with Reviva compared with only water intake.
Koen, just a little interruption, just to mention that some people are not seeing the chat feature, possibly because it was launched after the meeting began. So it might be useful for some people to log out and log back in to get the chat feature up and running. Sorry. Já, bara nefna að chat feature var óvirkur hann í upphafi, og það virðist allavega lagast hjá einhverjum með því að bæði skrá sig út og inn á fundin aftur. Afsakið þetta, Össin. Sorry, Koen, the word is yours.
Yeah, should I wait for a couple of seconds or just continue?
Yeah, maybe we just, við hinkurum kannski bara í augnablik, gefum þessu bara einhverjar 15-20 sekundur. Yeah, I think we should just wait for just a short while, Koen, while people are attempting to go in and out again, if it's needed. Yeah, I think it shouldn't take that much time.
No, I think we can continue now, maybe.
Yeah, I see people are popping in back now.
Okay.
I think we should continue.
Yep. Okay. Well, I'll start with some theory first about calcium. This is just one slide with theory, but good to know how it works. Maybe you've heard about in the past, but around calving, you see a drop in calcium levels that are available for the cow. And that's because mostly because cows start with the production of milk, and for the production of milk, there's a lot of calcium needed. And the cow is not able to compensate these extra requirements rapidly from the ration or from her bones. That's what you see in the picture. The first thing she does is to increase the renal absorption. That's a very quick one to do, but it's insufficient because it's just reducing the amount of losses for the cow, but not getting extra calcium absorbed from the diet. And that's the second thing the cow does. It's increasing the absorption from the intestines, And that's a very good resource because it's there in the ration, but it's delayed by 2 days. The third one is to increase the amount, the absorption of the turnover from the bones of calcium, because there is a storage of calcium in the bones. But it's also delayed with 2 days because that's hormonal things that should launch, should increase, and it takes some days as well. So that's actually the problem the cow has to cope with. We have my second poll, number 4. So there are some things we could do to help the cow to have more calcium available here in the cow. And I'm curious what you do now, and it's specifically to prevent milk fever, or as a prevention, not as a cure. Okay, I'm going to see that there are 20 answers now at the moment. When I go back to my own screen, yeah. Okay, that's good to know. What I just saw is 90 people are providing some cow drink, and one is doing some intravenous calcium. And that's where we for those 3 treatments we have or applications. We did some studies, and the first one is comparing Reviva with calcium, intravenous calcium. So like this infuse, it's not applied correctly, but just as the picture that I had. So these are the results of this trial, and what you see in this graph is that you see first the blue line is the calcium, intravenous calcium. First, you see an immediate increase in calcium available for the cow in the blood. With Reviva, you see a very small increase, where there's a stable and an increasing line over time. Well, comparing with the intravenous calcium, just after the peak, you see a rapid decrease in blood calcium levels. So what's happening there? The absorption, the stimulation of the absorption for the cow is not activated. So you just cure the cow maybe from having a disease, but after 12 hours, the cow gets into milk fever again, or gets into milk fever. And that's maybe what you do not see in practice. In that way, intravenous calcium disrupts the normal calcium regulation, and correcting the calcium status should only be applied with intravenous calcium when the cow is not able to stand up anymore, when he has acute milk fever. So, coming to my last poll question, and that's about applying boluses, which apparently no one did. But maybe you can say that. But if you use calcium boluses, or if you ever have used a bolus, then please also provide how you did it. I think I can quickly move to the answers. What I see here, I think one of you also provides calcium boluses and done to every cow. Yes, to apply to every cow, not every cow at risk, and then done twice. And if you use a calcium bolus, that is the correct way indeed. While it's often also done just once, but then you will get some results what I will show you in the next slide. But first I want to show you what the differences are between a bolus and a calcium source that is in Reviva. So in a bolus, there is often calcium chloride, while there is calcium carbonate in Reviva. So the calcium source from the bolus is not palatable. It should be forced fed, and forced fed you do that with a bolus applicator. There is always a risk of epithelial damage or irritation. So if you can get a product in the cow voluntarily, that's the best way. But it's also always a balance between the disease and the cure you want to do. Calcium chloride is a soluble calcium source. So it means that when it gets into the rumen, and because there is a high concentration of calcium, there is an uncontrolled fast absorption of calcium in the rumen. Compared with the calcium source from Reviva, that's a palatable calcium source. There's not much taste in, so it does not influence the absorption for the cow or the intake for the cow. But it's voluntarily intake, and so it means also a bit of improved welfare. And the calcium source is a passive absorption as well, but there is it's not that rapid, and it's expanded in time, and that's why you see this almost flat line in calcium level. But it makes the cow able to activate the calcium absorption itself. Now, about taste, this is also research, some results from the study. Control group for cows, all groups contained 23 cows, Reviva and a calcium bolus, and there was a time measurement until the time was measured until the cow had consumed 20 liters of water. So with Reviva, we provide also water to the cow, which is beneficial. And you see that most of the cows, that's almost 70% of the cows consume Reviva within 10 minutes. Another 20% consumed it within 30 minutes. And there were some cows that were sick that already had milk fever, because it's not a curing product, that were not able to drink as much water due to the illness. But Reviva is consumed by healthy cows within 30 minutes and mostly within 10 minutes. And that's not the case when you just provide water to the cow without a product in, or when you provide a calcium bolus. Then the results on calcium levels in the blood. And here you see the patterns that were observed. The blue line is the calcium bolus, the red line is the control, and the green line is the Reviva. And what you see is after calving, you see an increase with Reviva. You see a more lower levels on the control group. And what you see is that when you apply a calcium bolus, again here as well, first you see an increase of calcium levels, but afterwards you see a decrease. You see a dip at 24 hours after calving. So also here, the cow is not able to regulate the calcium metabolism herself. It also disrupts the normal regulation. So to summarize these products, calcium from Reviva is the best way to maintain blood calcium levels. It is a palatable calcium source. It maintains the calcium levels in the blood until 48 hours after calving. It does not cause a calcium peak, not too much calcium, or a drop, and that's what was seen with the two other products. It supports the calcium homeostasis, and Reviva is also the best way to get the water in, to get electrolytes in, vitamins in, and the energy in after calving. What we also did, what I explained at the beginning, we also studied the effects of Reviva during lactation. Just a single application immediately after calving, but we were curious if we could see a long-lasting effect during lactation. We did a study, a scientific study on commercial dairy farms in the Netherlands on 10 farms, and there were more than 600 cows at calving in the study. Bit more than half of them got Reviva, and half of them got water with a bit of placebo. So they got water. And what we obtained from data, we collaborated with CRV, and CRV is our herd book, who's also doing the milk recordings. So every 30 days or 40 days, whatever the farmer chooses, there's a milk recording provided to CRV, and CRV provided the data to us. And what they also do, because they have a lot of data from all the farms in the Netherlands, I think almost 100% of the farmers is a member of CRV. They know exactly the temperatures, the humidities, the lactation, the days in milk, lactation numbers. They know the milk productions from the farms around, and based on that, they can make a very accurate predicted production. And what we did is we took the observed production minus the predicted production, and we got a residual production, and that's what we compared. Compared with this, I got to the results now. Compared with the expectations, cows with Reviva produced 0.8 kilograms more milk per cow per day, and the cows that got water immediately after calving produced 1/4 liter more than expected. And so with Reviva, compared with providing only water, you can expect 0.5 kilogram more milk throughout the whole lactation. Also looking at the components, because here we got paid by the components, we saw an increase in fat production per cow per day. So compared with doing nothing, 37 grams more fat per day, and with only water, 18 grams more per cow per day. So with Reviva, 19 grams fat more per cow per day. Now doing that the same for protein, got 23 grams more protein per cow per day with Reviva, and also a bit more lactose. Well, that's not paid that much, but this is really showing the value of providing Reviva, providing some extra care to the cows immediately after calving. And how can that be explained? Well, because you're just doing one small single thing at the beginning of lactation. It can be explained by the effect that Reviva might have on affecting hypocalcemia in preventing or making the cow able to have a smooth start of lactation. And if you can prevent a little bit of milk fever, whether that's clinical or subclinical, then you are also preventing a little bit of the cow getting secondary problems. And secondary problems can come because muscles are not working as good as wanted. For example, in the rumen or in the abomasum, but also in the for the fertility. At the end, it can result in a higher incidence of ketosis because there is lower dry matter intake and also displaced abomasum. And this will result in a lower milk yield. So with preventing a bit of hypocalcemia, a bit of milk fever, we were able to have cows with a bit higher milk production, which also will result in a higher culling. With ketosis will also result in higher culling rates. So the increase in milk production with Reviva may be explained by a better health of the cows. And also, what we also observed in previous studies is that when you apply Reviva to the cow, you are also stimulating the cow for a higher dry matter intake. And that's what we want immediately after calving. It should get more energy in and also more protein. And that's what we also do with Reviva. So this study shows that on day 1 and day 3 after calving, cows had 1 kilogram more of dry matter intake, which also will help them for a smooth transition into lactation. So summarizing my presentation, Reviva provides calcium to the cow, but also supports the calcium regulation. That's not the case with the other products. You should only use an intravenous calcium source to cure cows that are lying down with milk fever. And Reviva is the best way to restore both the water levels, the electrolyte levels, vitamin levels, and also the energy levels. And with the last study, we showed that providing Reviva at calving, it boosts milk yield and milk components through the improvement of general health of the cows. So thank you for listening, and I'm curious if there are any questions. But before going to the questions, a kind reminder that for now, for the coming 1.5 weeks, there is a 20% discount on Reviva with Lífland.
Thank you very much, Koen. There are actually a few questions here, to begin with, maybe we have a single comment here. It is from Thorun and Samuel. They are actually mentioning that some of our cows will not drink Reviva, so they are seemingly using Reviva, but the comment on that some of them will not drink it. Any comment on that, Koen?
I think Jacob is coming forward here.
Okay, yeah.
Hello. Hi, everyone. Yes, sometimes we hear this, that cows refuse to drink the Reviva. Mainly the problem what is causing this, that they refuse to drink it, is that the product is not prepared well. You have to use the first 10 liters of water. It must be over 40 degrees to get the different aromas, to get them free out of the powder. So the first 10 liters of water should be over 40 degrees. Then it should be stirred. Then you see the coloring changing from white to orange. At that moment, you put extra cold water to it. And at that moment, the product is prepared well and it smells well. So sometimes people are using water which is too cold. Then you get not the aromas free. And that might be one of the causes. And another cause can be when cows already drunk water after calving. So when you come into the stables and the calf is already there and the cow already had water, then it might be that they are not willing to drink, because you also use the aspect that the cow is thirsty after calving, and by giving them Reviva as a first drink, that will help also. But I'm not sure. But I'm happy that the one who was asking the question said that some of his cows, so not all of his cows are refusing it, but that might be some points of attention.
Yes, thanks for those comments, Jacob. Then we have here a question from Hugrun, which is asking about the distribution of calcium, which is given subcutaneously, I think, or compared to intravenous calcium and versus the calcium that is given orally. You know, how is the distribution of the calcium which is given under the skin, is basically the question, compared to other options.
Okay.
Mainly what you do here is when it goes directly into the bloodstream, so it is intravenous, then you give it immediately in the bloodstream, and that helps and switches immediately also the amount of calcium in the body. What you do with a bolus is that you give it as an extra at once into the rumen of the cow, where it has to be so dissolved and then taken into the bloodstream. And that is finally the same what you do with Reviva, that it is going into the intestinal tract, and that it is absorbed over there, and that it comes free over a longer time.
Yeah. And compared with the subcutaneous, I think with Reviva, but also with the bolus, you provide 44 grams or 45 grams of calcium. And I think it's not, you're not able, or it's also stressful for the cow and disrupts or makes damage to the muscles, to the place there where it gets infused. I think it's difficult to get that amount of calcium also into the cow subcutaneously.
Okay, thanks for those comments, Koen and Jakob. And then we have here a question regarding why the cows will often get cold ears when they have received or drunk Reviva. Yeah, you recognize this?
They get cold ears after drinking Reviva.
Yeah, this was a question from Valdimar and Guðrún. So they seem to have experienced some cold ears of the cattle. Yeah, you're not. Yeah.
Normally, when I hear cold ears, then I would be thinking of milk fever. That could be a thing, but I'm not sure whether on this farm that is the case.
It could be that the cows experience milk fever, but with Reviva, with a slower release, we're still providing calcium for a longer time, and also. If the cow consumes the Reviva and also it's also stimulating dry matter intake. So maybe the cow experiences some kind of milk fever, but the Reviva will help the cow also to eat more, to get more water in, so recover faster from the milk fever, because it's you apply it at the moment of calving, and if the cow already has milk fever, yeah, you cannot correct immediately for this drop in calcium.
So it could be a part of the milk fever symptoms, in fact.
Yeah, which you are curing, and you're still helping the cow to get over it.
From the same people came a question regarding can you give or feed Reviva before calving?
You can try it, but normally it might be that cows are willing to drink it, but normally prior to calving, that cows are not drinking anymore, because most of the times, let's say 12 hours before calving, they are not drinking anymore, they are not eating anymore. So it might be difficult to get it in.
Okay. Yeah, there are some comments here from the person that asked about the cold ears. They say here that these are cows which are not experiencing fever. There was also a comment here from the person asking about the intravenous versus subcutaneous infusion of calcium. Yeah, I'm not quite following that, sorry. But then there is a question from, well, it's maybe a relatively open question from Berglind. Emphasis on mineral supplements before and after calving. What is your comment on that?
What kind of mineral supplements do you mean?
Yeah.
What we like to see is that farmers use in the dry period a good mineral, which is especially made for these dry cows.
Yeah.
And that is, I think, one of them.
Yeah. Well, to go into more detail on that, on the dry cow mineral, compared with lactating cows, the dry cows should not get extra calcium during the dry period, because it makes the absorption lazy. The cow that is dry does not need as much. The cow that is dry does not need as much calcium, because the requirements are very low, and it will already get enough calcium out of the normal ration without the extra supplements. There is already enough in, and at the moment you supply more, the cow, the absorption of from the intestines will get lower and lower, and that's what you do not want. So you want that calcium available at the right moment, and that moment is at calving or immediately after calving.
Okay, thanks for these comments and answers, guys. I think we should just pop on to Jakob's lecture. So thanks, Koen.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. It's a pity that we are not able to be on Iceland. I've been there with Ted on 2019. I still have good thoughts, good remembers on the trip over Iceland. Still some people almost daily contact with. So I really liked it to be on Iceland. I would like to tell you something about one of our newest products. that is the famous one, cello. Let's see. Hè? Deze. Oh, sorry. Hoe moet die erop zetten? One moment. Short issue. Krijgen we deze erop. Hè? Dus er is 5 nog. That's it.
Ja, voor de muis. Deze muis.
Ja. En deze?
Die is die muis.
Okay, thanks. Well, some issues over here. I have to use 2 computers at this moment because one is on Icelandic and I was reading the wrong one, so I couldn't understand what was on the screen. But we have a product which helps cows with high cell counts. We call it cello. Especially when cows do not have clinical mastitis yet. So when a farmer sees that high cell counts, tank cell counts, can lead to a lower milk price. When the cell counts are too high, then your factory will not accept the milk and you might get a fine over the normal milk price. Also, farmers, when they have, for instance, a robotic milking machine, when you get a lot of attention cows, that also might give some frustration and you have more labor to do. So you will have not that much pleasure. Also a higher risk of clinical milk fever and throw away the milk, which is not allowed to put into the tank. That can cost immediately about almost 9,000 kroners per cow. We found that subclinical mastitis, which had an incidence of about 30% in Holland, so 30% of the cows might get this subclinical mastitis. Then also studies done in 2016 showed also that the clinical mastitis might cost about 35,000 kroners and the subclinical one about half of it, so 17,500 kroners per year per cow. Then what happens when you have higher cell counts, mastitis is directly a lower milk production from this cow who has this mastitis. What you see in this graph is that the higher the cell count, so the more you get to the right side, the less milk the cow is producing. When you see that almost 800,000 cell counts, that will immediately bring down the milk production by 3 liters. So the higher the cell counts is, the lower the milk production. Then we have here a question. We have a preventive way to lower the cell counts. I think Elena will come in with another question again.
It is on the way, Jacob.
It's on the way, then I'll play
Yes.
a little bit of music for everyone listening here.
It's up now.
For my special friend. I hope we had enough time to give an answer to these questions.
Jacob, the song was regarding intoxication. Is cello having that effect?
I don't know what they were singing. But it is one of my most popular Icelandic songs. It's just
that's great.
Because of the rhythm. Kom ik terug in de presentatie nu?
Okay, Jacob, you should have some statistics. Do you see the chat box where you have the results?
I don't see them yet at the moment. Sorry.
Okay, there is. Let's see here.
Where the question was, is someone using boluses already? And then we see that 2/3 does not use boluses at the moment. 13% is about the trace element bolus. And about 1/5 of all is using magnesium bolus. So that are the answers which was found in the questionnaire. Okay, thank you very much for that.
Yeah, just to mention, did you get the statistics? Sorry. Yes, okay, sorry, yeah, you had them, sorry.
Yeah, I saw it. Krijg dit terug. Yeah, no, it's okay. Next one. This one. This is what the product is about, the Famosan Cello. It's a product which contains, sorry, I'm looking to the wrong one over here. Yes, now I have the right one. It's a product, it's a bolus which contains on the left hand side on the top, you can see there's garlic extract in it. So that's finally one of the materials which is working antibiotically, which has a good mode of action against harmful bacteria. It also works as an antioxidant and is detoxifying. Next to that, we have Optimin C in there, which is organic selenium source. It helps producing some enzymes. It also kills pathogens and is crucial, one of the most crucial products for a healthy immune system. Then we have IntelliBond Z, which is a source of hydroxic zinc. That is helping also in the health of the other tissue. It also helps the intestinal wall and the inflammation values to solve these problems. Then we have vitamin E in it, which has an antioxidant function. It reduces clinical mastitis and it improves the other health. Then there's another plant extract in here, which is the panbonis, which is a source, an active source of vitamin D3. And that has an extra function in the immunity of the other tissue. And as an extra, we put Celco AO mix in there, and that also has to do with the antioxidant function. What we want to aim at with this product is to have high as much possible antioxidant mode of action into the cow in her body to take care of the problems with mastitis and the higher cell counts, that the farmer should lose less milk and that he should not use that much injections in milking cows, because when you have to inject your cow with higher cell counts or with mastitis, then you have the trouble that it is you are not allowed to deliver the milk to the factory. Here we did some trials in 3 years ago, 2019. On one farm we had 12 cows with higher cell counts who were treated with a bolus, and in 75% of the cases, so that was 8 cows, 8 to 9 cows, we had a reduction of the cell counts and a reduction till almost 96%. And the same we saw on the other farm, which was Test Farm Timmer, where they had 6 cows with higher cell counts. They have been given only 1 bolus, and on this farm we saw that 76, so 4 out of 6 cows, that we had this reduction of the cell counts, also till 96%. What we can see, how do you see it in practice, and what is proven in 2020? We had another farm where we had 16 high cell count cows. We found out what you see here in the graph on the right hand side. You see the MPR, which is the milking control round, which they had. The first one is where we saw that the cows had high cell counts. That was from the one before. So on the first MPR 0, there was found cows with high cell counts. In the MPR 1, there was added a bolus to half of the cows. So 8 cows got a bolus and 8 cows were the control group. That was the blue line. And what you see to the next milk control, what you see here is the MPR 2, that the ones who got the bolus were dropped down dramatically within the 6 weeks after. And the other ones, it took longer, so they took 12 weeks. So you see that in normal, in the cows, also the cell counts might drop over a longer period, but it takes longer time. So you will have troubles over a longer period. And by adding a bolus into the cow, you can see it immediately affect that it is coming down quite fast. This was one of our test farms, or one of the trials. And he told that as soon as he sees a cow with high cell counts, then he separates her immediately of the robotic milking machine, because the robotic milking machine is giving an attention to the farmer. And that is also when you have a milking machine with a robot, or sometimes also in a normal parlor, there are some applications where the milk is measured. Then you can see as soon as there is the milk in one of the quarters is not okay, then you get an attention cow. And what the farmer does, he separates the cow, puts in one cello bolus, and it's just for him, as he said, it's a simple handling, and he can milk the cow further on. So that is what he likes very much. When to use the cello bolus? At signals of higher cell count. So when you can see it within your milking control, but also when you see it in your robotic milking machine, or when you see it with milking, and when you are milking the cows and pulling the first milk out, when you see clots, then you already know that there might be a problem with high cell counts. Next to that is when you know some cows who had high cell counts in the last lactation, that is also always quite known that the lactation afterwards, that they will have the same problems with the high cell counts. And cows going into the dry period, to clean up the other tissue, it can be wise to use a cello bolus. Use it with an applicator. Use it. You see here the applicator on the screen. Always take care that this applicator is long enough, because we found out that there are also applicators which are mainly for younger cows, so for heifers or calves from, let's say, 1 year old. These are much shorter, so you have to take the long one, because otherwise you don't put it into the throat of the cow and then it will come out, and that will not work. Because when the bolus is in front of the cow laying in the stable, you don't know which one throwed it out, and that is why it should be used with a long bolus gun. Then only apply it when the cow is not eating or ruminating, because otherwise it might get out. And only apply it when the cow is standing, so not laying down in the bed or whatever. Then it is more difficult for her to swallow. So that is also one of the things. What you get with what brings cello to you, to your farm: a better total udder health to the cows, less troubles with milking, a better image because you have less treatments with antibiotics. You're saving on labor costs, and you have finally more milk which you can deliver to the factory. And last but not least, that's, I think, one of the most important things for you as a farmer, is to have more fun into the stable. So that is finally one of the things which is very important. Then the price and the package of cello. What we advise is always give 1 bolus per cow, especially when you have when you're using it and you have an attention function on the milking parlor or on the robotic milking machine. That might give you a sign when it is something which is not all right. Then normally you will see after 1 day, after 2 days, that the cell count is already coming down, and that this cow is not giving it attention anymore. Can be wise, when there still is an attention after 5 days, to give a second bolus. And when then nothing is when it is not coming down, then then you should treat the cow on the normal way, but only use this in cows which do not have big troubles now, because when you have an acute problem at this moment with mastitis, then the bolus will not help you to solve this problem. Then you have to use still your old method, what you're doing. In the package, it's a pot of 8 boluses of 70 grams. The shelf life is 24 months, and we always advise to store it in a cool and dry closed can. The price is normally almost 30,000 kroners for the pot. At this moment, this week and next week, Lífland is offering you a discount of 25% on this product. So that is what is in the web shop and in the shops all over Iceland. Finally, this is my story. I would like to thank you for this. I found still one of the pictures which was made in 2019 because I like these cows. I only saw them on Iceland, and these are for me I call this the tiger cow. So thank you very much for your attention, and I hope this would solve. Are there still some questions, Johannes?
Yes, hi Jakob, and thanks for the presentation. Yes, there are a few questions from our guests. Rúnar, he is asking, are the new cello boluses allowed in organic milk production? Are they organic certified or so on?
This one which we have now, not yet. We are working on a ecological one, which is coming, I think, Koen, in about a month. Let's say 1.5, 2 months. Then we have what we call a bio, which is eco bolus, organic. So that will be in 2 months' time.
Okay, yes, thank you. Já, það verður lífrænn valkostur allavega fáanlegur úti á næstu mánuðin. There is another question here from Helgi Björn, and he's asking, at what point in the lactation period were the cows when they got the cello bolus in your experiment? So he's referring to the experiment in your slides.
That was all over the lactation, but mainly what we saw was finally when the cows are coming to the top of lactation. That is most of the times when we have the trouble. But cows, we have just took all the cows which were on the farm. That is where we have looked at the high cell counts, and for sure, I'm not for sure that they are on a certain stage in the lactation, because it could be new milk cows, but it could be also old milk cows. And I'm not sure of this.
Yeah, it's throughout lactation.
Sorry?
Yeah, it's the study was done with the cows just throughout lactation.
Mm-hmm.
To see that there is were some more cows mid lactation or end lactation. Not sure about that, but they were equally divided between the cows that got the bolus and the cows that not got the bolus.
Okay. Já, spurningin var það að hvenar á mjaltaskeiði forðastautarnir, sellóstautarnir voru gefnir, en það var í rauninni verið að grípa inn í bara ýmsum stigum mjaltaskeiðs, bara þegar kýrnar voru að sýna hækkaða frumutölu. There is a question here from Sigurður. He's asking, what will each bolus last? How long will each bolus last? And do you recommend giving it do you recommend giving it again? He's not referring to the 5-day booster bolus.
No, normally what we did, we within of Nutraco, we have some of those fistulated cows. We put the boluses into the fistule to find out how long the bolus lasts, and that was about 2 weeks till it was gone totally. So that on the first question, and then normally you should see an effect immediately after the first bolus. Cows, the cell counts are coming down quite fast. When you do not see that, that is what I meant with 5 days. Give it a second time, because then you might get an extra effect from the second bolus. But when it is not coming down, then go to your normal way of treating the cows, because that is quite difficult.
Okay, thank you, Jakob. Then there's a question here from Berglind, and that will be the final question for the day before we wrap this up. Do you recommend cello for every cow before dry period?
Before she goes into the dry period.
It is not a mastitis, no, not an antibiotic replacer. So it's really preventive. I don't know if that's it's if you're used to not use antibiotics with drying off, because for those cows it would be extra certainty to not get mastitis, but you should not replace the antibiotics that you should normally use with cows with high cell counts. You should not replace the antibiotics with the cello bolus.
It's not a medicine, it's just a way of helping them to come through a certain period.
Okay, so it's basically recommended as sort of addressing it when you see higher cell counts and so on. It's
yes,
not
that's also what we see here in Holland. We have been very successful with the launch since April last year. Let's see, it was over, I think we are about at 8,000 to 9,000 boluses used last year. So in 9 months' time.
Okay.
So this,
great.
Yeah. Also, also cows that have clinical mastitis should be treated with antibiotics and not with the bolus. So it's preventive. If you need to use antibiotics, use antibiotics and not the bolus. It's really a preventive bolus when you have the first signs of reduced udder health, first signs of going into mastitis. Yeah.
Well, I think we'll have to end it now. We're already quarter past the hour. I would like to give my best thanks to you guys, Kjartan, Jakob, and Kuhn. And hopefully we will be able to get you up to Iceland sometime in the near future.
Yes, it would be great. Yeah.
To meet up with our customers. So many thanks again. I have to pop back to Icelandic now. So já, ég myndi bara vilja þakka öllum kærlega fyrir góða áheyrn og bara fína mætingu. Og vona að þetta hafi verið bæði gagnlegt og fróðlegt hjá þeim félögum. Afsaka seinkunina sem hefur orðið á fundinum, en mér langaði nú bara svona að skjóta að í lokin að erindið þessi tekið upp og verður aðgengilegt á Facebook síðu okkar og heimasíðunni bara á allra næstu dögum fyrir þá sem mistu af. Mér langaði bara aftur að minna á nautgripadagann í verslunum okkar sem standa munu fram á laugardag í næstu viku. Og þar sem við erum meðal annars með Selló sem var kynnt hérna á kynningatilboði 25% afsláttur. Revíva tilboðið okkar núna 20% frá listaverði og fyrir þá sem að skráðu sig hérna inn á fundin í dag þá munum við draga út 3 heppna þátttakendur sem að fá bóluspakka og Revíva dós að launum. Mér langaði bara að þakka samstarfsfólkinu mínu, Helenu og Baldri Erni og Ástvaldi og fleirum fyrir góða aðstoð og tæknilegan stuðning hér í dag. Og bara þakka ykkur enn og aftur fyrir komuna. Thank you again, guys, and we will say this finished. Bye-bye.